Hey everybody, Norm here. Today's sponsor of Still Untitled is Casper mattresses. Obsessively engineered, American-made mattresses at a shockingly fair price. And now you can get $50 toward any mattress purchase by going to casper.com/untitled and using the offer code Untitled, just like the name of this podcast. Listen, you spend about a third of your life sleeping. Let's make sure you do it on a good mattress. Casper brings two comfy technologies together for better nights and brighter days: latex foam and memory foam. So they got the right amount of sink and the right bounce no matter how you sleep. And they have a risk-free trial and return policy. To deliver it straight to you, you can try it for 100 days, and if you're not happy, they'll pick it back up. At the store, you maybe get a minute with those mattresses, but with Casper, you'll actually be able to sleep on it. It's $500 for a twin-size mattress and $950 for a king-size mattress. Comparing that to industry averages, it's an outstanding price point. So get $50 toward any mattress purchase today by going to casper.com/untitled and using the offer code Untitled. But now, on with the show.
Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
And it has been a long time since we've done this.
Well, I know there's no break for people listening at home, but for us, I've been on the road now for almost 4 weeks.
A brief intermission into the present.
Yes, we did a performance last night in Stockton. Tomorrow I am in Spokane, and this is the day off. So how did I do this? We did Cupertino 2 nights ago. Okay. And I took a car service home from Cupertino because it's 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
And then yesterday morning I spent here in San Francisco, and then I made Thing 2 just got his driver's license.
Ooh, chauffeur mode.
Yes, and he loves driving the car, so I pulled him out of school early yesterday to drive me out to Stockton.
Okay.
And the clever little guy was like, I think we should take the scenic route. And he took me, through the back roads of the Central Valley to get there. It only took like an extra 20 minutes, and it was gorgeous.
Where Stockton's like middle central? I don't...
Geographically, I only know it as like way past the 5 interchange off of 580.
But it's not as far as like Fresno or something.
No,
Okay.
not nearly, and it's northern.
Okay, so you didn't go to over one. Like I've been driving back and forth to LA a lot lately.
Yeah,
and that 152 by the reservoir and all that is my favorite part of that drive now.
Oh yeah, no, totally. 152 is phenomenal. Yeah, this is totally.
It's
different.
Depressing because you see the reservoir levels go lower and lower. But then you can also stop by Casa de Fruta, get some great dried fruits.
I have gotten some dried fruits. They tend to make create some problems a little bit later in the drive occasionally. But delicious dried fruits. Pistachios.
So then Thing 2 drove me home last night after the show, and
awesome.
I woke up again with the dogs, and they're just ecstatic about it. And it's been amazing. We've had this amazing run on this show. Like, the crowds have been incredible everywhere we go. And even when the house isn't fully sold, they're super noisy. And that's been really fun to perform for.
They have to be excited. I mean, this is the Jamie farewell.
It is.
You have what, like 6 shows left? 7
6
shows
or 7,
left
something like that. Yeah.
Culminating in San Francisco.
Yeah, we're finishing up here in San Francisco on the 19th. And that show is... To say it's sold out is an understatement. It is packed to the rafters.
Oh, wow.
And it is. I'm really looking forward to it.
Cool.
What's some of the cool things you've seen while on the road and outside of the shows? Have you done any exploring?
Yes, tons. Thing 1 and I found pool halls in 6 states and played pool. He had never been to a pool hall. We started out in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
That's where my parents lived right after they got married.
Well, it's a lovely little town with a very hilariously mangy little pool hall full of some awesome locals. We had a great time there.
I have to imagine it's like kind of all southern pool halls. Can you still smoke in it or no?
Yeah, you can still smoke in it.
Okay, so fluorescent lighting hanging over the ceiling. It's in probably a strip mall.
No.
Oh, no?
No, it's not in a strip mall at all. It's in the middle of town, and it's called Chex, and I still have to send a picture. They gave me a card to send a picture to. They want one for their wall.
Okay.
And the locals were playing One Pocket, which is a hustler's game. They were playing Bank. They were playing Bank 9-ball, where every shot has to be a bank shot.
Wow. Oh, that's not okay.
And let's see, what else happened? I spent some time with Jack White and Third Man Records.
As one does.
As one does. They're building they opened on Black Friday, and I was there the day after that. So I got to see the amazing facility. It was great.
They're making a record pressing.
They're making a record pressing plant.
2016. Why not?
It's amazing. Then in San Diego, we performed just a block away from the Milk Carton Kids, we've been corresponding for a while, those guys and I, trying to work on a project together, and we finally met. And they were playing the Balboa, where we do Woodstock every year.
We've been there.
So hilariously, I had this whole cognitive disconnect. I didn't quite fully realize I was heading over to the Balboa, where I know this place. So I just walked into the lobby and walked down into the auditorium, and someone was like, "Hey, Adam," and I was like, "Hi." And then I realized they were talking in a level of familiarity that wasn't just a fan. And then I looked around and I was like, oh, wait a minute, I know this house. I've just never been in the lobby.
You never go into the front, always through the side door.
It's funny to go someplace because you guys have done what, 7 or 8 shows at that
Something like that,
theater. Yeah. Like it's weird to go into a place that you're so familiar with in one context, and then go in a completely different context.
Well, it feels like home.
But it does feel like home. And then I'm downstairs and I'm like, what are you doing putting the pizza in that green room? The pizza goes in the other green room. But those guys were really fun. Joey and Ken and their crew, we had a great time. The guy who's opening for them, Julian Lage, also, it was a whole day of sort of mutual admiration society and hanging out and laughing.
That's cool.
Were you able to stay in touch with pop culture, media, news?
Yes, actually, I have been. This is going to be a longer podcast than most, I suspect. I just finished last night the 13 episodes of Jessica Jones.
Incredible.
Holy crap! Holy cow! It's amazing.
So I avoided it because I heard it's about PTSD and violence against women, violence like intense violence.
There is intense violence, but
it's about that, but it doesn't show it.
It also tends to the violence that exists is often quite over the top superhero battles, which takes it way out of the realm of somebody beating a woman, which is absolutely like, I can't deal with that shit. That totally throws. I need to take a shower after I see stuff like that.
As I've gotten older, it's gotten like it originally was just about
worse.
women, and now it's just like kind of like when Kingpin smushed the guy's head in the door.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't think I need. I'm not okay with this. This isn't good for me.
So there is some intense violence in Jessica Jones. It is an amazing show on so many levels, and we should probably do an actual spoiler cast at some point. But I want to say,
gotta watch it, Will.
First off, it is the most diverse show you've ever seen. In fact, it's episode 5 before you see a cisgendered relationship.
Wow.
Seriously, everything is normalized in this, and none of it's ever commented on, and it's so goddamn refreshing.
Who's the production team? I mean, I know obviously it's a Marvel.
It's a Marvel property. That's why we should do a spoiler cast, because I haven't done any research on the showrunner or anything like that or their philosophy.
The showrunner had been trying to do this project long before Marvel had made the deal with Netflix to do this kind of 4 series run with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. So it was reworked to fit into this universe, but you can tell it's not like Daredevil at all. It doesn't need to live in that Daredevil universe. It really stands on its own.
I know nothing about Jessica Jones.
Okay, so just imagine that just imagine that there's a person who has super strength.
Okay. That's
the only thing they have. And then imagine they had a terribly abusive relationship. And I won't spoil the nature of the abusive relationship. It's different than you think. And David Tennant is the scariest Marvel villain yet.
Yeah, it's both his power, but also just every scene gets you paranoid about who to trust and anything could happen. And
I ended up being sort of long-term stressed about, like, how is she going to defeat this guy? And, like, the show is so great because it keeps you interested and involved episode to episode, but you're also like, where this is leading. How is that going to... When is who, and you get really, you super involved in the whole arc.
But by no means is perfect, but I think one of the great successes is that it didn't need to be a superhero show.
Right.
But the idea that it is kind of augment that hyper realism of it being a superhero show actually helps make the serious stuff a little more palatable.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm interested in is you said that there's a strong villain. Because, I mean, if you look at the complete run of Marvel,
They have
strong
a-
villains has not been their high point.
No,
Complex.
Right. Loki is the best that they've run.
And they
Loki's
ran him in
not great.
4 movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Actually, Winter Soldier's probably had the best villains. Robert Redford was
I agree.
Spoilers.
I agree.
Sorry.
But David Tennant's a terrific, complex. You're absolutely right. Scary as hell villain, and Kristen Ritter is phenomenal in this show. She plays Jessica in almost an old gumshoe Philip Marlowe kind of the damaged, tarnished hero way, and it's beautiful. And the acting across the board. I thought the young blonde girl, Schlottman, the first one she rescues. I thought her acting is terrific.
She's the one I didn't like that much in the show.
Oh man, she's a terrific actress. I thought the guy that played Luke Cage was
Yeah.
wonderful. Again, we should do a full spoiler
Yeah, we
cast
will.
about this, but
Okay.
Jessica Jones, full marks.
You
And
convinced me.
I also needed a break after every episode. I
Okay.
needed to take a break. Like it was that intense.
So I have 12 days basically to watch all of Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
And then you're back in town and we'll.
Yeah, we could do a spoiler cast.
Okay.
What else did I participate in?
Well, speaking of television shows, there was also another television show that made its premiere, and we'd been excited about this, The Expanse.
Yes.
This is on Syfy, and I think the first episode was online, but we were able to watch the first 4 episodes, and it's really interesting science fiction.
So it's based on a book.
Book
Based on a
series.
series of books,
Yep.
the Expanse books, written by a pair of authors that uses a pseudonym, I guess, or a pen name, I guess.
Right.
When you're writing as a team, it's like I read the books years ago, or at least the first couple.
Yeah.
And they're really interesting because they mix. Well, I don't want to. Let's talk about it in a generic. Let's do the thing we do with Spoilercast. We talk about it in a generic way,
Right.
and then we'll spoil some stuff
Well,
toward the end of the show.
They posit a future with a lot of, how do I say this? They're very sophisticated in the way they plot forward the various natural consequences of various futures of exploring
Expansion into space.
Of
They have
expansion into
almost
space.
only one conceit, which is a thruster system, a mechanism for traveling, making travel between Earth and Mars as far as you could go, not take 8 months.
Well, what
Right,
their
right,
conceit is, and he gets into this in the book, but it's hard science fiction, which is what you pointed out.
Yeah.
The conceit is that they have a thruster system that lets them accelerate, speeding up half of the trip and slowing down the other half of the trip.
Right.
I think in the TV show that's for 2 reasons. One is so they don't have to do a bunch of expensive zero-G stuff. 2 is that it means that it takes 3 months to get from Earth to Jupiter instead of 18 months or 2 years.
Right.
And then from a storytelling perspective, you can extrapolate that. So what does it mean if you have a spaceship where you are accelerating and decelerating for almost equally half the time? Well, then you get artificial gravity that way.
Right.
And then what does it mean if we can colonize Mars and we can colonize an asteroid and mine an asteroid? What type of cultural implications does that have? And I think that's the super interesting
And the
stuff.
cultural implications of living in space,
Yeah.
of being in space. The bone deterioration is the key part of the world and the plots that they spin.
Of the factions.
Yeah.
Like the factions are just divided not just by their long-term goals. Not by, on Earth, factions are divided generally by where we live, right?
Yeah.
The different countries have different feelings about different things, and we have a lot of conflict as a result of those things. Here you have 3 factions: the Earthers, the old school, which is where the brunt of humanity lives.
Yeah.
The Martians, people who went out to colonize Mars. Seems like a pretty substantial period of time ago.
Exactly.
Living in domes.
Yeah.
They've had a little bit of bone loss. They're all really tall, it seems like. They speak a little bit of a different dialect than the Earth humans.
Yeah.
And then the outer planets folks, the asteroid miners and the people who live even further out in Saturn and Jovian systems and stuff like that.
It's an impressive amount of storytelling they get done in 4 episodes.
So did you think the first episode... So I watched this with my wife. Did you think that... I'd read the books, she hadn't. Did you
Yeah.
guys think the first episode was hard to follow or not so much?
I didn't think it was hard to follow.
Okay.
I didn't find it hard to follow. I realized that the first episode setting me up for everything else. And in fact, we're not even close to any kind of resolution by the fourth episode. I
No.
mean,
No.
you're just still spinning out the various tendrils of what's going to end up coming into play.
It really is only at the fourth episode that you get a sense of the scope of the political drama at play and what the cultural relationships are and why those cultures are interesting.
Yeah, and again, in that social commentary, this is the first series since BSG where I feel like really talking about using the science fiction to deeply delve into social commentary.
Well, and I would say the end of the fourth episode is for knowing what I know about what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
The end of the fourth episode is the same place that the end of that pilot, that two night miniseries, the 4-hour miniseries for BSG.
Yeah.
Like they've just everything
Right.
up to this point has been setting up the world.
Exactly.
You know, you have two main protagonists. You have Holden on one side, you have Miller the detective on series on the other, and then you have a bunch of supporting and B tier characters who are all pretty interesting.
Yeah, and Thomas Jane as Miller, the detective.
Oh, he's so good.
He's terrific.
He also is the thing I like least about the show.
Well, I
But
mean,
he's Thomas Janing at a really high level, right?
He's very mannerist. It is very mannerist. But there's a part of me that like they're so committed to it. Even giving him a almost fedora, a narrow brim fedora, a hat that gets commented on by people in the show is like that stupid hat.
You're a dumbass, dude. He's a bad cop.
Yeah.
Like it is immediately obvious that he's a bad cop. But, the cliche isn't necessarily, it doesn't ride all the way out.
Right.
So.
No, it doesn't. And I enjoy. I think that I kept finding each time we bounced into a different faction, I'm like, oh, cool, I get to find out what's happening next in this one. Oh, cool, I get to find out what's happening next in this one.
Which is kind of that Game of Thrones model when you have so many storylines happening at the same time, you jumping back and forth, and eventually, hopefully, there'll be episodes where you don't need to see to devote more time, and it's less about bouncing and checking in.
So Game of Thrones has 7 families?
Something like that.
Or used to have 7 families. At this point, this story has essentially 2 threads, right? From where we are now, we've set up the world. I think we're going to keep checking in with the political lady on Earth.
Right.
We're going to keep checking in with the detective on series. We're going to keep checking in with Holden.
Well, and eventually, Tom Miller's case will somehow match up with the other
convergence.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe they'll all end up on that ship at the end of the. Yeah, we don't know. Should we get into spoilers? Or we want to talk some more?
I mean,
Or do we need to spoil it all?
I guess I don't think we need to spoil that much. People should watch the show to get a sense of what they like about it. Production value. I think it's great for cable television.
The production value is terrific, and the space stuff. I mean, look, I noticed certain things about, and this is common to television, where the animation's just not awesome or not as crisp as it could be. But frankly, that's secondary to the fact that the action is usually really quite clearly laid out. And this is a big deal to me. The best effects in the world don't help if the director loses the audience in space.
You're talking about the Michael Bay situation.
Yeah, and I don't mean space. I mean like within the physical space of the film.
Right.
They manage that very, very well in this show, knowing where you are in the world that you're in.
Yeah, the thing that resonated with me the most, there was a little bit of a monologue in the 4th episode where you really get a sense that, and you imagine, okay, in Star Trek, even though humanity lives on spaceships and stuff like that, it still feels like one humanity. Here, where they're telling a story just 200 years in the future, doesn't seem so far away. Just the fact that there are people, hundreds or thousands of people living, and generations of people living in different places, that's enough time to form an entirely different culture and mindset where they don't feel like they are Earthlings.
Right.
And that's exactly it. I mean, that's the push-pull is the asteroid people, the Martians, and the Earthlings.
And it's believable that they look the same, with slight differences, but culturally and from what their sense of who they are, identity-wise, is not.
So this is the biggest thing that I think is really exciting about it is its ambition is really high. And it seems to me right now on the basis of 4 episodes that they are up to the challenge, and that's really exciting to me about television right now in general.
Oh yeah,
it's Sci-fi is trying this out, and it's great.
The thing that I liked, the thing that struck me early on, because I read this book years ago, I didn't see social commentary there, right? The thing that TV
Right.
does is really good at is holding a light up to the problems of the modern day.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a lot of internal strife in the U.S. right now, even, and a lot of Islamophobia and other things that we're not going to get into here. But this held up a mirror to that in a way that I wasn't expecting at all. In the same way that BSG ended up being a really good allegory for the early 2000s and the Iraq War and the last war on terrorism.
Yeah, totally,
So-
totally.
I don't know. I quite like this. I think I'm a bigger fan of the TV show now than I am of the book.
I haven't read the book, so
It's fine to skip. You're good.
okay.
But they did a really good job. The thing that I love is that they kept a lot of the small details that really help set the world. For example, the thing Norm pointed out, the asteroid miners are all taller and skinnier. They have a patois, right? They have a
Right,
different
right.
dialect. It's a little hard to follow at first. And then they do a lot of hand gestures and they do a lot of speaking with hands. And they're actually, it seems like they're actually carrying those hand gestures through. Because, if you live in spacesuits,
Right.
you have
You've
to use your hands.
Yeah, and I thought that was it's lovely little additions and details that were really that round out and deepen the experience.
It reminded me a lot of Seven Eves.
Right.
If you're projecting X many thousands years into the future, how does language, culture, communication change, and identity?
And by the way, if you go to Amazon and you look at The Martian, it suggests that you read Seven Eves, and I feel like we might be partially responsible.
I mean,
for
hard
that.
science fiction is hard science fiction. It's funny because last year 3 amazing hard sci-fi books came out: The Martian, Seven Eves, and then Aurora by Kim Stanley Robinson.
I haven't read that.
Aurora is a little more like Aurora. Any other year would have been one of the best science fiction books of the year.
Okay, that's the next one I'll read.
It's frustrating. Cory Doctorow really loved it. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm actually going to see Neil in Seattle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's been sorry, just briefly to dip back
Yeah.
into the tour. On this tour, more than any single other tour, I have been doing stuff like bunch of stuff almost every single day. So we did some tested pieces both in Atlanta and Baltimore about some STEAM programs that I went and talked to the people about. We did a one-day build in Newark with a master craftsman and
Yes.
his team.
Ooh.
Yes. Very, very exciting one-day build. And then my family being out on tour, I'm still kind of glowing from how much activity there's been on this tour. But anyway, back to the Expanse. Do you guys want to talk about any spoilers specifically?
I think Norm's right. I think where would you say you guys have both watched the first 4 episodes? I feel like if you make it to the end of the second one and you're not into it, probably it's not for you, right?
That's exactly. I wouldn't say base it on the first because there's a lot of storytelling they have to get done. I think
Right.
you're right. By the end of the second episode, if you're not intrigued, it's probably not for you. But frankly, I was dying to get to more.
The end of the 4th, I can't wait to see. We have to wait until like the first of the year, basically, for the next episode. I think at this point.
Well, and it's like the how are we? You're at the end of the 4th episode. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure this is going to keep going, but where does it go from here?
Oh, the world opens up in a wonderful way.
I'm very excited about that. It's what I smell coming, and I'm really psyched.
Cool. Well, I guess that's as good a place as any to wrap it up.
No, we got more.
Oh, we got
only
more
went for 20 minutes.
But wait, there's more.
Well, Adam,
I wanted to talk a little bit about the Apple battery pack.
Oh,
Can we just briefly mention the Apple battery pack?
I don't cover tech news anymore. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, let's see. It's got a bump. No one's ever done that before.
Is it the pimple case? Is that what we're talking about?
no. So earlier this week, Apple announced and released a case for the iPhone 6 that includes a battery built in.
Not the 6 Plus.
Not the 6 Plus. And it's partially maybe to address the concerns that a lot of people have that their iPhone 6s don't have the new ones, 6s don't last as long. People are obviously using their phones more. It's a crowded market. You can get the Mophie. It's a very popular battery case.
There's many. Yeah.
Yeah. So Apple it has
They
their
jump
own.
in.
It's $100, and it looks weird.
Wow, that is.
And
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the common phrase everyone says, it looks like it's a tumor.
Well,
It's like a weird bulge.
Can we come out on the record as saying that battery cases are dumb?
Well, I don't like them because I keep my phone in my pocket and they make it too thick.
Well, and every time you get a new phone, you have to buy a new case.
And cases, look, the competition is good because those cases are cheap enough that it's not really necessarily a huge
I
killer.
don't know, man. $100 is a lot for a case.
Well, Apple's is double most other people
Okay.
with comparable cases. But let's give Apple the benefit of the doubt because they don't do anything by half measures. And internally, I'm quite sure they have fantastic. If I was sitting across from the Apple engineer who ran this program, I'm quite sure he could convince me that this was a great idea.
You convince someone.
So
I don't.
let me just
that.
I know. Let me make this point though. Perhaps what they found when the Apple engineers started playing with all the other battery packs is that the thickness made it harder to get out, so they made it thin on both ends to give you a more sensual iPhone experience. That's entirely
I think
possible.
I want a more sensual iPhone experience, Adam.
Look, my central iPhone experience is based on taking my iPhone's clothes off at night and fondling it. I take the case off.
The new harder aluminum.
But I mean, it's less capacity than the competitors, more of the price, and it's not as attractive. This is like a trifecta of fail to me.
So
It's not like they're not aware of
I know.
the marketplace. You don't do something different for the sake of doing it different.
Also,
It should be better.
a fully charged battery will not bring your phone from
80%.
0 to 100.
Yeah.
It'll bring it to like a shade under 80%.
So okay, here's my recommendation is to go get one of those little like lipstick case
Yeah.
size things
Yeah.
that cost $13.
Yeah. And
That
it's
will give you
basically a little
50%
lithium-ion
battery.
battery.
Yeah, it plugs in with the USB and it charges, and just chuck that in your bag or in your jacket
I
pocket
have
or
like
whatever.
5 of them. Yeah.
Like battery cases, they're a sucker buy.
Clearly they saw a need. Clearly they believe that they answered it, and it may be that time will tell that people will start to realize the hidden benefits of this case, and we could be dopes here. But on the face of it, it looks like a weird tangent for Apple.
Can we talk about the iPad Pro a little bit?
Yeah,
Because I hadn't seen it until this morning.
I got one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Norm's got
pretty
one.
Yeah.
sassy.
And the pencil.
Does the pencil's smart, right?
Well, I'll take before we talk about functionality. I'll talk about how botched the launch it was, just in terms of delivering it, production. They released the iPad Pro, which the best feature I think is its compatibility with this new accessory, the pencil. And
Which
the
is,
pencil,
what, $100?
$100, but wasn't even available for a month after the
and
tablet
now
came
it's
out.
back ordered for weeks.
Yeah.
So if I want an iPad Pro next year, I should buy a pencil today.
Yeah, that's
Exactly right. That's
Yeah.
precisely right.
But the pencil is one of the best digital styluses ever made.
It's amazing. It's truly amazing. I bought this because of a friend of mine at Pixar told me that the latency on the iPad Pro is incredibly low and that the pencil's functionality was phenomenal. And this is someone who has extensively used all the other products out there and written custom drivers for them. And holy cow, he's right. It is the functionality of it is incredible. I'm really, really loving the drawing. And in Apple's Notes, right? So it's their root drawing tools that they've just put in their SDK, I guess.
Built into the OS. Yeah.
Right. Are fantastic. Really, the pencil, when you draw in pencil and then you zoom in and it's got a pencil texture and it really feels like you're drawing.
So you're talking about the angular ability.
Yeah.
If you're using the actual pencil, quote unquote, tool, and you draw at a
You
steeper
tilt your
angle,
pencil, yeah.
then you're actually shading. So it actually is smart that way.
And it's not blue. It's not touch. It's not activating.
It's not
the-
capacitive touch.
It's
It's
not
a different
capacitive
sensor
touch,
that they
right.
have
It's
on
Bluetooth.
Yes, so it doesn't work with the older iPads. Now, totally is something I could see coming to the other iPads in the future.
But I mean, when we tested those Adobe styluses and things, even the screen was too small to rest your hand on it and draw really
Right,
comfortably. You
right.
can only draw on like a third or maybe a half of the screen.
I think the usability of this accessory is going to inform the design decisions of those different tablets, and they're going to be maybe designed differently so you can use them as note-taking devices.
That's
Think of all the notepads you have, the three
Yeah.
different sizes. You have a big A1 notepad, you have a small notepad, the field notes. Those are kind of the sizes of the iPhone, iPad Mini, and the iPads.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I wish I have a little bit of problem with Apple's with their OS design on the iPad Pro. So the iPad Pro is giant.
Yeah.
It's
It's like a
work
really,
surface.
really big iPhone.
And the icons are the size of a really big iPhone. So the icons are like an inch
oh, it
square.
has the first iPad problem.
And it won't. You can't scale them. You can't add more icons into the.
They'll fix that in the
drove me a little bit.
That
iOS
home
10.
screen needs
The home screen is.
completely revamped.
This is the
really
same thing
does.
that happened with the first iPad.
Is it really?
Yeah, remember the first iPad, they had the same number of icons on the iPad that they had on the iPhone. So when you opened it up, it looked like a big
Yeah,
iPhone.
no,
was
this
the
is
joke.
the OS is a little bit spotty on that front.
Can you see the drawn notes on your other devices? Do they come across?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's the other app situation like? Are there other good drawing apps out there yet?
So there's a slew of existing kind of productivity apps
They're
like
doing updates for them.
that support the tilt and stuff.
Pencil.
Oh, so they have to actively support
Paper,
Pencil.
paper
Paper
by
53,
53.
Penultimate.
But they
but-
don't tap into Apple Notes that API level excess
yet.
of latency.
Is that
And
because
so-
Apple's not opening it, or is
Correct.
it? Oh, that's
that,
lame.
that code is not.
Oh, really?
public, yeah.
Really?
So if you have a drawing app, you can't use the pencil the way that Apple's applications use the pencil.
And the latency is noticeably slower.
And
on
what
those other apps.
what applications
I didn't
use the
realize
pencil
that. That's
on the iPad right now? Which Apple applications use the pencil?
Just
Just
Notes.
Notes.
oh, is
That's
it really
it?
just notes?
It's a $99,
I think you could draw. I mean, you can draw on the other ones, and you get some of the functionality.
but it works like
until-
your finger.
No. You get some of the functionality. You just don't get the perfect low latency.
Yeah, then that sucks. Well,
That's got to be fixed.
Yeah.
We got to fix that.
It's
they just released
a
9.2
matter of
this
time.
morning.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, so there may be an update
All right,
that fixes
all
that
right.
right now. We don't know. About it
It's
yet.
a beautiful pairing of a device and an accessory. It really is, and it makes me very excited for the future because I would love to use the iPad as my primary drawing source for all sorts of different
Yeah,
things.
sketching is a new
Absolutely.
hobby of
yeah,
yours.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I have I have to use it because I'm doing VR stuff. I have to have a desktop computer for my work machine is a desktop computer now.
Right, 'cause it has
so
to
I
be
have
that
a real
powerful.
video card. Yeah.
Right.
And like looking at laptops, why would I spend money on a laptop that I can't do my VR stuff on?
Right.
Why not just get a giant iPad?
Yeah.
Have you either used the smart keyboard? Is it out? Have you found one yet?
No, they're way backward. Again, this is a weird case where they apparently way under anticipated the demand.
Well, there's a ton of I was in Target the other day and they had iPad Pros, right?
Right.
So yeah.
But they don't have the keyboards you can't get anywhere,
Right.
and the pencils.
Yep.
I had to pull
All
a favor
backward.
to find a pencil.
well, there you have it.
Before we wrap up, I have two recommendations.
Yeah.
One for people out there and one for people in here. People out there, you should watch the trailer for Anomalisa,
Oh my God! It's
is.
so exciting.
a stop motion movie coming out. It's a new movie from Charlie Kaufman, who wrote Adaptation, being John Malkovich. He
Eternal Sunshine of the
Eternal
Spotless
Sunshine.
Mind and
That's right.
Synecdoche, New York.
He directed Synecdoche, New York. This is a co-directing gig with him and I forget the name of the animator.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't remember either.
But it's through Dan Harmon's production company, Starburns, who does. They also do Rick and Morty, and I guess they funded it partially on Kickstarter
Yes,
3
they
years
started
ago.
the funding on Kickstarter.
So it was going to be a short
It's
film.
amazing.
It's a full
What's it called
length
again?
It's called Anomalisa, and
It's
Very clever.
Yeah,
it'll be coming out before the end of the year, I think.
No, I think
December
it's early
30th.
January. Is it
December 30th for limited release, wide
Okay.
release next year.
Guess why?
Because of Oscars.
Yeah. Award season.
It looks beautiful in a way that feels totally unique. It is really kind of shocking. I mean, I showed it to my wife, and she was like,
What kind of anime? Is it like hand-drawn animation?
"No,
or
it's
is it
stop
stop motion
Puppets.
character
Oh, wow.
animation with replacement faces
Yes, and the
Oh, so
eyes
like
on these
Paranorman or-
puppets
are
are the
otherworldly."
they're the opposite of Zemeckis' dead eyes.
Yeah,
They're so emotional.
it's
Cool.
It looks really. When you see the trailer, you're like, "Oh." Go ahead.
And then for the people in this room, I think you should both go watch Creed.
Okay, I heard
the
that
Rocky-
from. Yeah,
What if you've never seen a Rocky movie before?
Then you should watch all the Rocky movies except number 5, and then watch Creed.
so you know that. Did you see the figure now that that Sylvester Stallone is currently older than Burgess Meredith was in the original Rocky?
Well, Luke Hamill, Mark Hamill is as old as Alec Guinness was in
Right.
Star Wars.
I also will tell you that I mentioned The Signature of All Things by Elizabeth Gilbert in one of our podcasts. I finished it. It's phenomenal.
Oh, good.
It's really.
Gina's reading that right
beautiful.
now.
I was blown away. I really enjoyed the spit out of it.
We have started watching Star Warses.
Oh,
because that's next week for us.
Right.
I watched the first Star Wars for the first time in probably 10 years the other day. I'd forgotten how intense, like that opening scene on the blockade runner with Princess Leia, like how much world building happens with almost no dialogue in that first 15 minutes of that movie.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh right, George Lucas made good movies.
Which version did you watch?
The Harmony Despecialized, of course.
Despecialized 2.5.
Oh, I don't have 2.5. I just have 2.0.
Yeah.
2.5 1080p.
No, 720.
720.
This past weekend, one of our friends who runs Robo Games, he screened Star Wars for his daughter for the first time. 6-year-old daughter, rented out a full theater, invited her entire first grade class.
Oh.
And played the despecialized version.
Wow.
And there were 4 adults there who had also not seen Star Wars.
Wow.
Amazing.
Shout out some of them.
Amazing. I'm very excited. Very excited about the new Star Wars film.
George Lucas seems real apathetic about it, so I think that's a good sign for everybody.
Well,
Fans are going to love this.
The biggest spoiler I've heard about the new Star Wars film from my friends is that it's good.
It's good.
Is that it's good?
Oh, okay.
I like scaring the crap out of people like that.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. I'm going on Thursday night.
I have tickets for Sunday because I'm out of town on Thursday night and I've got a performance on Friday.
I have Friday 4:00 at the
Or
Japantown.
Saturday. Saturday's my final performance of the tour, right? Yeah.
Friday at 4. I still have Japantown seats.
Oh.
Yeah, upstairs.
I don't think that's one of my days off.
Okay.
Is that the 17th?
18th.
Oh no, I'm
You're
in.
working?
Your day off is the 17th?
I think I have a day off on the 17th. I think I'm coming back here on the 17th, right? Because I think the 16th is Oregon, is Portland. The 17th I'm back here.
17th is when it comes out, Adam.
Right, I know, but unless someone wants to give me a ticket.
If we don't get a babysitter, I have a ticket for the 17th.
Okay, maybe I'll go see it as well.
Yeah. It turns out, let me tell you, who thought getting a babysitter on Star Wars release day? We put in a request 4 months ago.
No way.
And it was easier to get a New Year's Eve babysitter this year than a Star Wars release day babysitter in San Francisco.
Holy cow.
So yeah, if you think they're gonna sell some movie tickets,
Okay.
I mean they already have.
Yeah.
Have we talked about the field notes?
Oh, yeah.
No,
I'm
yes.
gonna grab one.
They're out.
Yes.
They're beautiful.
Yes.
We almost forgot that.
Will's grabbing field notes right now. So to preface, we did a video with you, Adam, earlier this year, in which you showed some accessories you made for the Inspire 1 quadcopter, including a field notes like notebook for you to
I
document
made my own
your flight
notebooks
log.
and I stapled them together. I did the graphic design and everything. It was all very crude and rudimentary.
It was cool, but it was in the field note style.
It was in the Field Notes. I actually said that, ripped off from Field Notes on the cover.
And Field Notes saw the video, loved it, and worked with us then to make an official flight log, which is now available.
Which is now available. And can I just say what a kind of fantasy camp it was to work with the designers at Field Notes.
So Brian was so good.
Watch them take our ideas and make them so much better and so useful and so tactile. And I mean, it's just, this is like bucket list material. So much fun.
I was so stoked that we got to work with those guys. It was super cool. And they did the sky blue paper, which is one of my favorite colors that they've made so far. So
I really look forward to one of these getting beat to crap in my Inspire case as I continue to use it.
No,
have you registered yet?
What's that?
Have you registered
No,
yet?
You
I have
can't,
not.
not yet.
Not yet?
You can't do
Okay.
it yet. People are sending us photos of the maze, which I believe your Shining Maze is in Korea right now.
Yes.
Wow,
And
really?
people are also sending photos of holsters, Leatherman holsters that they've been making.
I saw 2 Leatherman holsters on the tour that people had made and showed me their versions of.
People are emailing, so please send us more of those photos.
Absolutely.
And if you do pick up the Field Notes flight log and use it, send us photos,
Please.
as well. And we'd
Filled
love to
in.
see
Filled in and
exactly.
beat up
used.
ones.
Yeah.
That's great. It's super exciting. I want to do more with Field Notes.
We love those guys.
I'm just saying that outright.
Cool. Well, I guess that's as good a place as any to wrap it up.
That's a great place to wrap it up.
37 minutes. That's longer than normal. We fit the bill.
Told you that was what was going to happen.
Next week, we return to the past.
Yes.
So, and I think we're in the past through most of the rest of this year, right?
I think
the
so.
end, yeah.
We accidentally recorded a boatload of podcasts. Who knew? We'll see you guys next week. As always, keep on testing. And if you like the show, like us on YouTube or Facebook or iTunes. Give us a review. Tell your friends. And if we don't talk to you again before the end of the year, have a good holiday.
Have a happy new year and a good holiday.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.